Today, on What It's Like, back at Max Motive to take a closer look at this 1960 Ford Galaxie Sunliner. But before getting into all of it, picture this. You just obtained a car that is off the beaten path that you know nothing about, or perhaps you own this car in the past and you were just here to reminisce. Either way, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like. We feature the classics, vintage, some exotics, lots of orphan cars, and cars that tend to get lost in the shuffle. If that sounds like a channel that you would totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. 1960 Ford model lineup. Actually, before we talk about that, side note, 1960 is a big leap forward for the car industry. Not just Ford, but other car companies as well, because other car companies start to launch different car lines within their brands. This is Genesis for the multiple models that are totally different. And what I mean by totally different sheet metal, totally different chassis, not just paint and trim like they did in the 50s. And don't get me wrong, there are still paint and trim options for 1960, but this is where the ball starts to get rolling. By the late 1960s, the models start to become their own, much like what we see now. Yes, people could argue and say that there was different models in the 30s, and there was different models, different body options, but when World War II hit, they just offered one body style and just trimmed it out differently. 1960 is when they start going back to what they were doing in the 30s, if that makes any sense. Let's talk 1960 Ford model lineup. These aren't in any particular order. Falcon, Thunderbird, Wagons, Truckline, Fairlane, and then at the top sat the Galaxie. Ford would offer the Galaxie from 1959 to 1974. It was the top of the heap from 1959 to 1961, offered in 4 generations. 1960 falls in the second generation, which had a production run from 1960 to 1964. 1960, 61, 62, 63, 64. 1959 was a one-year body style, as well as 1960 is also a one-year only body style. 1960 body style was designed from the ground up. The body design looks sleeker than the 59 and less chrome than the 59. The rear also has a reverse fin section, sort of like the Buick Electra. 1960 Galaxie could be had as a 2-door club sedan, 2-door Starliner hardtop, 4-door town sedan, 4-door Town Victoria, and the 2-door Sunliner convertible. Let's talk specs. 213.7 inches long, 81.5 inches wide, 55 inches tall. It rides a wheelbase of 119 inches. It weighs 3,840 pounds. Price, $2,970, which is equivalent to you spending $29,901.88 in the year 2022. Total 1960 Ford production was 1,439,370 units. Total Galaxie production was 289,268 units. And of that number, 44,762 were the Sunliner 2-door convertible variety. Before getting into the engines, it's important to point out that these numbers may vary depending on final gear or rear end ratio, which Ford offered lots of different rear end options for different engines as well as different transmissions. Conventional drive 356, overdrive was 389 in the 6 and the 292, 356 in both versions of the 352 V8. Ford-O-Matic 2-speed automatic got 356 rear end with the 6, 310 with the 292. Point I'm trying to make is mileage may vary. Moving on to engines, starting in the basement, 223 cubic inch displacement inline 6. It also went by the name of Mileage Maker 6. Makes 145 horsepower, 200 foot-pounds of torque. Compression is 8.4 to 1. When mated with a 3-speed manual transmission, 0 to 60 could be had in 16.4 seconds. Theoretical top speed, 94 miles per hour. Average fuel consumption is around 15.2 miles to the gallon. Moving to the next engine on offer, 292 cubic inch displacement Y-block V8. It's good for 185 horsepower, 292 pound-feet of torque, compression of 8.8 to 1. When mated with a 3-speed manual transmission, 0 to 60 could be had in 11.3 seconds. Theoretical top speed, 103 miles per hour. Average fuel economy, 13 miles to the gallon. When mated to the 3-speed automatic, 0 to 60, 12.8 seconds. Top speed, 103 miles per hour. Average fuel consumption is the same, 13 miles per gallon. Moving on to the last engine on offer, which could be had in two different configurations and or flavors, 352 cubic inch displacement FE V8. It also went by the Thunderbird V8, 235 horsepower, 350 foot-pounds of torque. Compression was 8.9 to 1. When mated to a 3-speed manual transmission, 0 to 60 could be had in 9.5 seconds. Theoretical top speed 111 miles per hour. Average fuel economy was 16.9 miles to the gallon. I'm going to put the 3-speed automatic transmission specs up there so you could compare the specs, but we're going to move on to the biggest and baddest version of the 352, 352 cubic inch displacement Thunderbird Special V8, 300 horsepower. It makes 381 foot-pounds of torque. Compression was 9.6 to 1. When coupled with a 3-speed manual transmission, 0 to 60 is 8.1 seconds. Theoretical top speed 120 miles per hour. Average fuel consumption 11.2 miles to the gallon. Psych! There is one more engine on offer, 352 cubic inch displacement Interceptor V8, 5.7 liters. It makes 360 horsepower, 380 foot-pounds of torque with a compression ratio of 10.6 to 1. When mated to the 4-speed with overdrive manual transmission, 0 to 60 could be had in 6.7 seconds. It'll do the quarter mile in 15 seconds. It will get an average fuel economy rating of 12 miles to the gallon. Let's talk transmissions. Ford had 4 transmissions on offer. 2-speed automatic, Ford-O-Matic. Easiest way to tell is the drive select modes read park, reverse, neutral, drive, low. 3-speed automatic, Cruise-O-Matic. Easiest way to tell, park, reverse, neutral, drive second, drive first, low. 3-speed manual. 3-speed manual with automatic overdrive. 4th gear would cut in above 27 miles per hour and it would cut out below 21 miles per hour. What's interesting is, according to the ad where I got all of this information, one could kick it down and it would shift it right into 4th gear. So I'm interested. Does that mean that you could put it in 1st gear and drive up to 27 miles per hour and it's automatically in 4th gear so you don't have to shift? It's like almost like a hybrid automatic, similar to like what Dodge used in the early 50s. I'm super intrigued. If you had one of these, tell me your experience in the comment section below. It also said that there was a lockout control on the dash for this transmission, so if you only wanted to use it as a 3-speed manual, you totally could. So let's talk styling of this car. There's lines going on everywhere. Look at how this comes up. It almost looks like a boomerang. Just absolutely love the chrome on this car. Check out the bumpers. This one has bumper guards. That's what these rubber inserts are for. Parking lights. This car has lots of lines in the hood. Check out the hood ornament. It almost looks like the Dodge Ram ornament from 10 years prior to this. Coming around the side, notice how this protrudes outward. Check out that, and how this comes back, and it's all textured. It looks a lot like a Buick Electra in the textureness of it. And notice this. It sort of looks like Ford took a page out of GM's playbook. When you come back and look at this from top down, I don't know if Elwood Ingold designed this, but this looks very much indicative of the styling that he did. Bumper guards here as well. Look at how this is split. So there's taillight here and there's taillight down here. It's all textured in here. Beautiful. Backup lights are here. This is where the gas filler door is. This car has some absolutely gorgeous lines. It's a really big car too. You see how long it is when we step back. So getting inside, let's talk about this door. It's not that, it doesn't feel that heavy, but look at how it's designed. So just look at how close that is, and yet it works. So just check out this door panel and all of the different colors. It's tritone, or it's almost quadruple tone really, because this is almost looks like a pink salmon color almost. Red, white, black. Armrest, door handle to pull the door shut. This is the door handle to get out. This is the window crank for the big window. And this is the vent window. You push this button in and swivel this out of the way, and that opens like that. Also, check out how this is designed. It comes up and it swoops back in. Check out the window. It's all framed in. Nice big frame too. There's my finger for reference. Coming down inside the pedal box down here, emergency brake, high beam switch, brake pedal, gas pedal. Just check out this interior. It's all tritone, red, black, and white. That's what the door sounds like when it shuts. Here's over the hood impression. Here's what first person would look like. This steering wheel is huge, and it's kind of sort of in my crotch. I wear size 34 pants, so if you're around my size, if you're bigger, you might feel a little bit more snug in here. This steering wheel is dished towards the center, and it's nice and thin, just how I like it. I like a nice thin steering wheel. 3-spoke wheel, horn ring. Push this for the horn. On to the button switches and knobs, starting on the left-hand side and moving right. It's important to point out that this gauge cluster is essentially in 3 tiers. There's a top tier, a middle tier, and then there's a small tier off to the left-hand side, kind of like bottom tier, I guess you'd call it. Anyway, starting on the left-hand side, all the way at the top, turn signal indicator for the left-hand side, fuel, speedometer, red oval just underneath 50 to 60 miles per hour. That is for the high beam indicator. Back to the left, but in the middle tier now. Brake release, lights, left air vent, odometer, drive select modes read, park, reverse, neutral, drive second, drive first, low. So this one has the 3-speed cruise-o-matic. There are lights that are flanking the drive select modes. I think that those are for the generator and the oil pressure because they don't have represented gauges in this gauge cluster. Back to the top, temperature, right turn signal indicator, clock, moving down to the middle, right air vent, wipers, lighter, heat controls. The options for the heat controls were low and high. The heat could be off, which would be off. The heat feature blows from the bottom, and defrost, it blows from the top. Fan speed, AM, radio, ashtray just below that, and then going back to the left-hand side, bottom tier, ignition and power for the power top. Up above, here's what the sun visors look like. Here's my hand for reference. They're a bit on this thinner side. Here's what the other sun visor would look like. And it's got this cutout for the rear view mirror. The rear view mirror has a daytime, nighttime mirror. It's in the daytime setting now. To go nighttime, you just turn it like that, and it'll say nighttime. On to the glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here's my hand for reference. Here is our glove box. That's exactly why I show this, because that camera is absolutely huge and it fits in there, no issue whatsoever. Alright, getting in the rear seat, just flip the seat forward like that. Notice this one pivots out of the way, and that's how much space you have to get back there. So just check out how much knee space there is. There's tons of knee space. Here's what the seat profile looks like. It is rather upright, and the rear of the seat cushion goes down more in the back than it does the front, which makes your knees angle up more. But it's not that bad. No coat hooks on each side. As you can see, the top's off. There is an armrest on each side, but it almost needs to be back here more, but ashtrays right here, and that's how that operates. Here's what the rear window looks like going up. And notice it's all trimmed out. So I came back here, I was looking for the trunk release. I've seen trunk releases back here, but if you look, there doesn't seem to be a trunk release until you look at this more, and then you realize the trunk release is in the S itself. So that's kind of cool and sneaky. Yeah, look at how big this trunk is, and it just seems like it keeps going and going. It goes all the way up underneath here. These are fender skirts, so if you wanted to put fender skirts on, different hubcaps. Looks like this is a full-size spare with bumper jack. And the load floor is actually relatively low, but the opening isn't nearly as big as you would think. But you have all the space underneath both of these rear parts. Just the opening. That's what the opening looks like. Take a look at these gun sights. Those are cool. Coming up and getting underneath the hood. The hood popper is right here. Hood's extremely heavy. Check out that engine. Look at how nice and clean this engine bay is. This is a coolant overflow. This is where you put your coolant in. Instead of putting it directly into the radiator itself, it goes in there. This one has power steering, dual master cylinder power brakes. On to the pros and cons. We are getting all of these pros and cons from the complete book of collectible cars, blue chip auto investments, 70 years from 1930 to 2000 by Richard M. Langworth and the auto editors of Consumer Guide. On the positive side, swooping styling, big and spacious, smooth V8 power teams, lush rides, still fairly inexpensive but growing in popularity, ample club support, moving up strongly in value against it. Good condition originals, not plentiful. Some trim and body parts are scarce now. Still in-betweeners with less appreciation potential than earlier and later big Fords. All right, now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to give me the correct name of the band as well as song title, both correctly, will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section. If you haven't noticed, we love the old lost and forgotten songs as well. That is such a great song. I hope somebody gets it. Anyway, thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. I really appreciate all of the support. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below. I read and answer all comments posted. Second way is we have a Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. There's no obligation to join, but if you want to mingle with other people that are a part of this car community, because it's so much more than a car channel. Everybody and their mom has a car channel. I want this to be a car community of people that could help other people out. So if you're interested in the whole Facebook thing, the link will be in the description. So if I catch you here or on Facebook, just know that I appreciate all of the support. And until next time, toodaloo!